Hello and welcome to our second day's coverage from the 100% pure New Zealand Winter Games. I'm Rebecca Bailey in the South Island's Cardrona Valley, up here at Snow Farm, the venue for the cross-country skiing events. Today the cross-country competitors are really up against the elements, but while the weather was perfect last week, we took the chance to talk to some of the experts to get a better understanding of this Nordic sport.
There is skate skiing and there's classical skiing. And in classical skiing you ski in these tracks which are groomed in the snow and your skis stay pointing straight most of the time. And the skating technique is a skating technique like any other skating where you move side to side to go forward. The boots are a little bit different too. A skating boot is a bit stiffer and the cuff is a bit higher, gives a bit more stability. And the poles are slightly different because in skating you go a bit faster and the poles are a bit longer. These are some skate skis. They don't curve up at the top quite as much and they are a bit stiffer. So they design so that when you push sideways off them you get some good power transfer. The classical ski is quite different. It's a more flexible ski and it doesn't push to the side with so much resistance or force, but the most important thing about this ski is that it has a section in the middle of the ski which doesn't usually touch the snow, and it doesn't interfere with glide if it's not touching the snow. But what stops you sliding backwards on a classical ski is putting some sticky or grippy wax in this area. And when you want to push forward up the hill, you compress the ski so that the part of the ski that doesn't normally touch hits the snow and grips against it, allowing you to propel yourself forward.
So Alistair, a big important job, the snow groomers for the cross-country skiing.
Yeah, sure. The groomer driver has to get out and prepare the track, usually during the night before the event, and he's the key man. The track in cross-country skiing has to be really smooth and has to be perfectly prepared. He's often a skier himself, so he's not just a groomer driver, he's also a skier, so he knows how to ski the course. The grooming machine is much the same as an alpine grooming machine. It looks much the same, so it has the big blade on the front to push snow around. Has a tiller at the back, which is basically just a rotary hoe to grind up the snow and make it nice and smooth. And then it has two pans at the back which put the classic tracks in. And the driver can lift those at various times. So for around some of the corners he'll lift one or both the pans, and in some of the steep downhills he'll lift them both, and then have the two tracks in most of the time. So it goes from 5 tracks at the beginning down to 2 fairly quickly, so it's always fairly exciting just after the start. And in some downhill corners there'll be 1 track or no track. So yes, it is important that they know where it all is. They will have been out training today at about the same time as race time. So they'll try and get a feel for the course, for what bits are fast, what bits are slow. Of the 2 tracks, 1 track will be faster than the other, so they'll be looking to see which track's quick, which track is slow. So they'll be changing between the tracks, and they'll want to have a bit of an idea on what's quick and what's slow. It's an international standard course. It has to be measured, so it has a standard international profile. That's the amount of up and down. It's a 5k loop, which is quite a long k loop for an international race. But yes, it has to have an international profile. So this is an international standard course.
Well, you can't come up Snow Farm and not go out on the tracks. So never skied before in my life, but former New Zealand ski coach Alistair Smale, you're going to talk me through it.
I am. We're going to go skiing today. First of all, we're going to get some skis on your feet.
Yep.
So we'll just do that. So just the front, and you'll notice the heels come up.
Yeah.
So today we're going to classic ski, which means it's like a walking motion. You're going to need some poles, and they're not just for balancing, they're actually for pushing you along as well, okay? So we're just going to step sideways over to those grooves over there on your left. Awesome. So swing out arms and legs, but just walk. Just walk, okay? Let's just walk.
And I keep my feet on the ground every time.
You can lift the back one up a bit. And so you're actually powering up the hill here.
Boy, you like to think you're a little bit fit, but don't know about that right now. That was a really, really good workout. And now that I've seen just how challenging and technical it is, can't wait to see the racing, the cross-country racing we've got for you here at Snow Farm. Well, so far in the cross-country program, we've seen the classical skiing in the tracks. Today we move on to the sprints, which is a completely different type of event. I have with me Alexei Stodskov, the New Zealand coach. Alexei, tell us about the sprint skiing.
The sprint race is separate from the distance race because the distance obviously is much shorter, and it's also a lot of tactics, it's a lot of uncertainty. This is what makes this sprint race so exciting.
So it's short and it's fast, there's a lot of tactics. I can't wait. Let's join the competitors on the start line. Well, there's 26 skiers entered, but only 16 will make it through these qualifying rounds. They're racing off at 20-second intervals. The circuit for the men is 1,600 metres, just over, starting according to their rankings. So first off, and wearing number 1, is Andy Newell, the 27-year-old from Vermont. He was second yesterday. Then we have Nikita Kryakov from Russia. The first time we've seen the Russians up here at Snow Farm. They elected not to race in the classic events. So the fastest 16 times will go through to the quarterfinals, and we'll have 4 quarterfinals, 4 skiers in each of those finals. And number 4 is Big Len Valje, the big tall Canadian, and very strong in this event. He prefers the sprint events over the distance events. So our second American is Simeon Hamilton.
Look at Simeon Hamilton. His style is a little bit different. He's much slower pace, but boy, is he fast or what.
And this is Alexander Pazinski, who is third off, comes back into the stadium, drops down into the Snow Farm basin. So here's our leader, Andy Newell. Competed at the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. Also likes to compete in free skiing, which he actually amazingly does on his cross-country skis. Big Len Valje, the 22-year-old from Canada, 5th yesterday. Well, back to the start line. Number 9, Chris Freeman, the winner from yesterday's 15-kilometre classic event. Really get an idea of the conditions from this shot. And Pazinski climbs his way up the zigzag and out of the basin. Chasing him is Valje, and he's making ground. The Canadian is looking good, and he is having a great race. And here in the finishing straight, this is our first skier to finish, Andy Newell. He knows these trails well. Snow Farm's like a second home to him, and we got a chance to catch up with him last week.
Yeah, I've been on the US team now for like 12 years. Since I was a high school skier, and this is actually my 9th summer in a row coming down to the Snow Farm, so it is a lot like a second home. We know everyone here really well, and I've actually skied more at the Snow Farm than anywhere else in the world over the last 10 years, more so even than my home state of Vermont back in the US. So I know these trails really well, and I love skiing here.
And a good time today for Newell, 3 minutes 34. But we're back out on circuit, and this is Newell's teammate, Simeon Hamilton. And second finisher this will be is Kryakov, the Russian. His time will be 3:41, and he'll be disappointed with that. But underway now for New Zealand, Nils Koens heading out into the snow, pushing off, and he'll go onto that back loop on the circuit. Number 9 climbing his way out of the basin, Chris Freeman, yesterday's winner. Now they zigzag their way up here, and when they get to the top, that's when they swing right onto the finishing straight. On that finishing straight for New Zealand, Nat Anglim, the 38-year-old doctor from Christchurch, pushing out, and he heads out onto that back loop. Chris Freeman crosses the finish line. His time will be 3 minutes 40, and that's a good time considering he's an endurance specialist. And this is Andy Pole in the black and white of New Zealand coming back into the stadium basin. And climbing his way out is Nils Koens, and he's being chased by Australia's Philip Bellingham. And so Kiwi Nat Anglim heads down. And here's Pole almost at the top. Now I can tell you that the air temperature here, it's -3 degrees, and the snow temperature -5, so it is very, very cold. And here's Pole in the final straight. He's on a good time. He's going to do 4 minutes 9. That's a great time. 13th fastest at the moment. Will it be enough to go through in the top 16? Anglin, top of that last climb. Last few metres. Needs to do a 4:10 and he comes in with a 4:15. It's not bad, but it probably won't be good enough. Confirming the results from the qualifying, and the benchmark was set by Simeon Hamilton of the USA, that 3:34, just 0.7 seconds faster than teammate Andy Newell from Len Vallier and Chris Freeman. Then the 4 Russians to round out the top 8. Over the page, and it's an international affair. Well done to Andy Pole. His 4 minutes 9, just fast enough to make the top 16 and a place in the quarterfinals. So at the end of the prologue, it's the North Americans coming out on top of the Russians, perhaps taking advantage of their local knowledge.
The US team and the Canadian team have come a long way in the past years, and I think a lot of that has to do with us coming down here. Both teams have been coming down to New Zealand for a long time and training together. So the Canadians have a ton of strong skiers, so does the US, and also the Russian squad is in town this year, and there's always quite a few fast New Zealand skiers as well. So I think this is probably the best competition we've seen in the New Zealand races, maybe ever.
So that's how the men are stacking up, and we move now to the women's qualifying. Smaller field here, but some key players nonetheless. First away is one of them, World Cup champion Justyna Kowalczyk of Poland, winner of yesterday's race, gold medal at the 2010 Winter Olympics in the 30-kilometre event, but she is an all-rounder. A great race from her yesterday. Second away for Russia, Natalia Krosteleva. Now, the women race a slightly shorter circuit, just over 1,000 metres. They drop down here straight into the basin instead of the loop around the back. Number 55 is Sarah Murphy, our New Zealand biathlete. Now, there's no biathlon at the Winter Games, but she's racing everything else anyhow. Good on her. 4th in yesterday's race, the 10-kilometre classic. This is on the climb out of the basin. And second off, Krosteleva, the 29-year-old, also a Vancouver Olympian. Kowalczyk, she will be first back to the finish line. This is the final 100 metres, so hers is going to be the benchmark. She's on a good bum, and she goes across the line, and it will be 2 minutes 38, so that's the time to beat. Sarah Murphy on her climb out.
Come on, Sarah, go, 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 push it!
Getting the home crowd support there, no surprise. Meanwhile, Krosteleva is on a fast time, 2:37. That's a second faster than Kowalczyk. Sarah Murphy should be looking to set as fast a time as possible. The faster they go in the qualification, the easier the draw will be in the semi-final. So she's posted a 3:21, and let's see how her time lines up compared to the rest of the field. It's the Russian Natalia Krosteleva with 2:37 qualifying fastest, 1 second ahead of Justyna Kowalczyk of Poland, followed by Maria Davydenkova. Sarah Murphy's 3:21, quite a lot slower, but still sees her in 6th position.
Today's a bit more challenging. The snow is much slower, making it a lot more painful. But yeah, once you're out there, it's fine. You get warm, and yeah, I'm happy I'm here.
That's it from the qualifying round. The competitors are now seated. We'll be back a little later on with all the finals action.